Congratulations on the show.
Thanks, man.
I've watched the first three, and I have to say it's great fun so far. Tell me about the lure of Guy Ritchie for you. He's been doing this for a long time now, and he's kind of done so many amazing things for film, for British film, and everything in between. What's the lure for you as an actor to step into a Guy Ritchie world?
Yeah, I mean, he kind of shaped a genre. He became and continues to be a kind of brand in himself. And for me as a kid in my teens, Lock, Stock had a massive impact on me. I had the album, in CD form that I'd slot into my little cassette player in my car. Not cassette player, it was a CD player. I had a cassette player in the car. And I always wanted to do something with him. I love his brand of bombastic humour mixed with a kind of glamorous grit, and this seemed like the perfect vehicle for that. I also thought it was a little different to some of the stuff he's done in this world. At least there's the criminality, but Guy also is fascinated and interested in upper class society, and he is interested in the gentleman, whatever that means existentially, or whatever that is. He is fascinated by it. So this is kind of part of him, and the mix of those two worlds is inherently interesting as a conceit. So that was what I kind of loved initially.
Yeah. When I was watching the episodes yesterday, I had to keep pausing it because I had to keep writing down loads of the lines of dialogue, because some of it is so pithy and brilliant, and it has a specific rhythm to it. And I've been asking the guys this as well. When it comes to performing that kind of stuff, is Guy very specific about how he wants you to do it? Because everyone's talking about there's like a rhythm and a kind of musicality to it, and how he wants you to perform it and how he wants it to come across.
That's very true, yeah. And it was interesting working with Vinny, who'd obviously done his first two movies, and Guy was highly, highly specific, even to the stressing of a word. And he's still like that. He likes the idea that there's poetry to the fun and the pithiness. And yes, he would be highly specific, but then not sometimes as well. And I think for me and Dan, Dan who plays my brother, we're posher and we're a little less the Guy Ritchie patter. And particularly for my character, he kind of, there's a grounding nature to him deliberately, so that we don't go into totally high farce. And that's an interesting line that Guy always treads, which is so delightful. It's like, if you step too much into the humor, it becomes farce, right? But it wants to be funny and pithy. If you make it too serious, it becomes kind of melodramatic in a way. So it's his genre is highly specific, and you need him to guide you through that, very much so. But yeah, the rhythm and the lines, sometimes you don't understand it in the moment. You're like, really? Come on. I mean, Jesus, we're stressing a word, for fuck's sake. But then you see it and you're like, okay, now I understand. Yeah. So you have to give into it. Sometimes you feel like, I've been Ritchie, but you just have to know to give in.
Yeah. You've done some big movies, you've done some small movies, and you've done TV. I can imagine one of the biggest challenges for you is the art of tea acting, which is drinking copious amounts of tea and all that kind of stuff, with the cups and the saucers. And I've asked the other guys this: how do you sit on your tea? Where's Theo James's cup of tea?
Oh,
is it Builder's tea? That seems to be the prevailing opinion at the moment.
My wife's Irish, so I have Barry's first thing in the morning, milk, no sugar, and I have to have some caffeine when kids are waking up at 6:30 a.m. But I also loved the tea, as it were. Those kind of things in The Gentleman are really interesting, because again, Guy and we are fascinated by what high-end society, aristocracy, means in a way. It's something that I know nothing about. Guy has mixed in those circles for years, partly because he's got loads of dough now, but he knows that world and he's really interested in that world, and so he was also quite specific about aristocratic culture and the specificity of that. I remember on one of the first days, I get out of a car and I went to get my bag as the character, and he's like, no, you don't get your bag, you have someone to do that. And in fact, if you get your bag, it's an insult to your butler. Those kind of details, which still exist today in 2024, which is completely insane, but it's something that you kind of have to pay heed to.
Yeah, I quite like the juxtaposition, quite a good summation of what you were talking about the story about how you have the posh tea and the cup and saucer, but then there's jammy dodgers on the side, which I think is apparently that was Vinnie Jones.
That's an ad lib from Vinnie, yeah, which I love. Yeah.
Kind of sums up the whole thing, like you were talking about quite well. I thought that was quite a nice touch.
Yeah.
I wish you all the best for the show. Thank you so much for your time.
Mate.
Pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah,
Pleasure.
see you, man.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys!
Hey, you guys!
Hey, you guys!
Hey, that's what they all say.
Hey, you guys!
Hey, you guys!